Yes, but where does the hate come from?
The right-wing media, including the Daily Mail and The Sun, have been targeting Diane throughout her entire tenure as a Labour MP.
Crazy!
A few years ago, Diane Abbott stumbled over police recruitment figures live on LBC's Nick Ferrari morning show, triggering a meltdown in the right-wing media. It marked the pinnacle of the presenter's career up to that point. LBC revelled in the aftermath. Yet, when Laura Trott, the chief secretary to the Treasury, faltered on understanding government debt and the deficit on Radio 4, there was scarcely a murmur. One can't help but wonder why. But
Where does this evil come from?
what actions are black women taking to provoke such venom from a multimillionaire, running a successful business and employing hundreds? Frank Hester's vile remarks back in 2019, suggesting that Diane Abbott made him want to hate all black women, and then he went on to say that she should be shot, are utterly unwarranted.
What's wrong with him?
Stemming from a twisted mind. Recall Dawn Butler's account of being mistaken for a cleaner by a Tory MP in the Palace of Westminster.
Should you even be in here?
Or consider Alexandra Wilson, repeatedly misidentified as a defendant rather than a qualified barrister when entering the courtroom. Some argue that these instances exemplify misogynoir, where both a woman's race and gender contribute to the discrimination she faces. But thinkers like Dr. Frank B. Wilderson III propose a darker rationale behind ongoing adversity. If we examine Wilderson's work, he suggests viewing the world through an Afro-pessimism lens would reveal deeper insights to the problem black people face in an anti-black world. Afro-pessimism posits that anti-blackness forms the bedrock of society, presenting an insurmountable barrier. While resolutions exist for the oppression of women and the working class, as well as for the suffering of Palestinians, there's no solution for anti-blackness. Gratuitous attacks on black individuals throughout history lack rationality. They stem from a deep-seated phobia, dubbed Afrophobia by some. On July 11, 1596, Queen Elizabeth I penned a letter to city officials urging the deportation of all black Moors from England due to their perceived overpopulation, marking the onset of racial differentiation. This differs from the expulsion of Jews from England in 1290, rooted in resentment over their financial activities and societal influence. Africans, on the other hand, were deemed a blight on the landscape and subject to removal. While Jews were eventually allowed to return to England, hatred toward Africans only intensified with the advent of the transatlantic slave trade and colonialism. The British meticulously documented enslaved individuals until the trade came under scrutiny, transitioning from recording ethnic or tribal names to categorizing them as black cargo. Fear and loathing of the enslaved persisted, perpetuating a perception of them as inhuman and terrifying. As Africans and those identifying as black, we have choices: internalize the fear and loathing, ignore its existence, challenge it, or exploit it for personal gain. In recent years, a vocal minority of black individuals have espoused right-wing, racist rhetoric. It's an easy living when one can deny blatant racism, accuse black people of having a chip on their shoulders, and dismiss attempts to address racial discrimination as mere positive discrimination. You might think individuals like the black farmer have a point, claiming there's no racism in the UK and people are judged solely on their character. If only that were true. Consider two shocking examples. Years ago, a black man broke into a young girl's bedroom, prompting police to release a sketch of a black suspect. The story, splashed across newspapers and news channels, instilled fear. Yet, it was later revealed to be a fabrication concocted by the girl to evade trouble with her parents. The police, without conducting due diligence, perpetuated the racial stereotype. How did a child learn in a few short years that the worst crime a young girl could face would be at the hands of not a white man, not a yellow man, not even a brown man, but at the hands of a black man? The other shocking story was what a team of researchers found. Their finding revealed that living in an area with a high proportion of ethnic minorities results in significantly higher car insurance premiums, 1/3 higher than in predominantly white areas. Anti-African racism or anti-black racism is real and is very much alive in the UK, and no amount of black faces on right-wing TV shows is going to change that. Diane Abbott faced suspension from the Labour Party for asserting that while Irish people and European Jews encounter prejudice, black people face racial discrimination. Considering the evidence, it's evident that Diane's stance is justified. What's your opinion? Come and have your say while you can.